My name is Yiva, and I've been coming to the temple since May, although it feels, I think, a bit longer because I really enjoy spending a lot of time here. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my intentions for the new year, since that's the theme of today. So the day before I showed up one morning at the temple, I rather uncharacteristically quit my job, and thus began my summer of fun employment. I spent hours instead of working getting to garden, dance, and sing with Reverend Wang Gong, eat delicious meals cooked by Kathleen and other volunteers and members of the temple, and laughing with visiting reverends and others. I've noticed a lot of changes in myself since coming here. I don't get as flustered managing others' emotions or struggling to say the right thing. I've stopped pushing myself to the edge of productivity, and I've quit replaying cringeworthy moments, mistakes, or mishaps in my head at the end of each day. In other words, I've been free. The concept of freedom is one that I've particularly contemplated, not just since I left my job, but throughout my life in the United States. I was born and raised in Shelby, North Carolina. However, my father's childhood was spent in an internment camp in India when there was a war between China and India. And my mother, she has memories of escaping the family who had basically purchased her parents to be servants for that family. And so life here in the US brought new challenges. Because my mom didn't finish high school and my dad didn't even finish middle school, there weren't a lot of opportunities to make a living. So we had a restaurant where my brother, sister, and I helped whenever we were not in school. However, it was located in a part of town where there was a lot of violence and crime. Everyone was struggling. I remember in 2 years, we had 4 armed robberies, one of them actually by my brother's schoolmate. The American dream sometimes felt more like a nightmarish cycle, where I had to mask vulnerability to survive. As a kid, I felt a lot of pressure to do all the things that my parents could not, because if I didn't, what did all of my parents' suffering mean? I got a scholarship to college and later went on to a master's from Harvard. I had decent jobs that together began to resemble a career, but I was also often on edge, and I felt like the abstract ideas and concepts that I talked about were meaningless. Did that class that I took in social policy really have the power to save lives or make a difference to people like my parents? I didn't really know. And so one day in grad school, which was virtual because of COVID, my professor asked a very simple question: how are you doing? And when it was my turn, I started with, "Oh, I'm fine," and then suddenly broke into uncontrollable tears. And so it became abundantly clear, and by the way, Zoom is not forgiving for like a mental breakdown, and so it became abundantly clear this girl is not fine. In the time running 1,000 miles an hour and living this life of I have to, I was not ending my parents' suffering. I was just prolonging my own by telling myself that failure was not an option and depriving myself of hope. However, when I was diagnosed with clinical depression shortly after that incident, I realized I needed to unlearn so much. To me, the opposite of freedom is not imprisonment or enslavement. It's the loss of hope. A lot of my hope has been restored here, and I've felt freer than ever. I find hope here in persistent routines, like clearing my mind during meditation, or expressing gratitude, thinking with equanimity, finding grace in harm. I see hope in acts of great compassion, like seeing an older child at the children's camp teach another how to read without being asked. All of this has given me hope to start applying myself in different ways. A few months ago, a friend and I organized a group for internment camp survivors and families to facilitate healing conversations. At first, I was hesitant, but one conversation with Reverend Sean helped me let go of a lot of that guilt and expectations and to be kinder to myself. This month, our group will be talking about the ways we held on to hope to get through difficult times. I don't see this as a happily ever after necessarily, but rather a break in a vicious cycle and the start of a really hopeful one. I'm incredibly grateful to the Temple community for helping me heal and look forward to a freer 2025. Thank you.